You know that little icon that sits in the corner of your screen? The one that's supposed to be your digital bodyguard, quietly protecting you from all the nasty stuff lurking online? Well, have you ever actually stopped to wonder how it got there? Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the surprising, decades-long story of antivirus software.
But let's just start with the most important question right off the bat. We all have this software, and we all just assume it's working. But is that digital bodyguard of yours really as sharp and effective as you think it is? The answer, as you're about to find out, is way more complicated than a simple yes or no.
All right, so here's our game plan. First, we're going to look at why we even need a digital immune system in the first place. Then, we'll take a trip through the history of this endless arms race. After that, we'll pop the hood and see how this stuff actually fights back, expose some pretty serious cracks in its armor, and then finally, figure out what all this means for you and me today.
So, to really get a handle on the solution, you've got to understand the problem, right? What happened that made us need a digital immune system for our computers to begin with?
You know, it really didn't start out this way. The first viruses, they were mostly made by hobbyists, sometimes just to show off that they could do it. But oh, how the game has changed. The single most important thing to get is that modern malware isn't a prank anymore. It's built by sophisticated, well-funded criminal organizations. This is a multi-billion-dollar illegal industry.
And that shift from a kid in a basement to a criminal enterprise is what kicked off this constant back and forth, this cat and mouse game that has really defined the entire history of cybersecurity.
And you can really see the escalation right here. I mean, it all started back in 1971 with this simple little program called Creeper on giant mainframe computers, and it was cleaned up by another program called Reaper, literally the world's first antivirus. Then in the 80s, the fight moved to our desktops with viruses spreading on floppy disks. By the late 80s, you start to see the first commercial companies. But then, the 90s arrived and with them, the internet. And that was like pouring rocket fuel on a tiny fire. The threat just exploded.
So, just how big of an explosion are we talking about? This number? That is how many new, unique pieces of malware were found in a single year. And that was way back in 2007. Just a few years later, in 2013, antivirus companies were seeing over 500,000 new samples every single day. The scale is just mind-boggling.
So you have to ask, how on earth can a single piece of software keep up with 500,000 new threats a day? Well, let's take a look at the weapons it uses in this digital war. So the classic original method is called signature-based detection. The best way to think about it is like a giant criminal fingerprint database. When a new virus gets discovered, security experts take it apart, find a unique piece of its code, its digital fingerprint, and they add it to this huge database of bad guys. Your antivirus just scans your files looking for a match.
Okay, but what about a brand new virus? One that doesn't have a fingerprint in the database yet? That's where the second method comes in. If signature detection is like a wanted poster for a known criminal, heuristic analysis is more like a profiler. It's not looking for a perfect match. Instead, it's watching for shady behavior. Like, is this program trying to mess with critical system files? Is it trying to copy itself everywhere? That kind of suspicious activity can flag a brand new threat. The big downside? Well, sometimes it gets it wrong and points the finger at a good guy.
And that risk, the risk of getting it wrong, that's what leads us to the hidden problems, the very real and very deep cracks in our digital bodyguard's armor.
This is the problem of false positives. And believe me, this isn't just a minor annoyance. When your antivirus wrongly flags an innocent file as a threat, it can be a total disaster. Imagine if that file is a crucial part of your operating system. If your antivirus deletes it, your entire computer could become a brick.
And man, you can just feel the sheer frustration in this quote. This was an actual statement from the developers of an email program called Pegasus Mail. It came out after Norton Antivirus, for the third time, incorrectly identified their software as a virus and just deleted it. It's such a powerful example of how damaging these false alarms can be.
And here is the absolute kicker. Even the people inside the industry knew there were serious problems. This is a pretty stunning admission from the CEO of a huge antivirus company, Trend Micro, all the way back in 2008. She flat out admitted that the industry had been misleading customers about how effective their products were for years. The truth was, they just couldn't keep up.
And the problems don't even stop there. We've all experienced these, right? That noticeable slowdown of your computer, the annoying conflicts that stop a big system update from installing, and, of course, those frustrating automatic subscription renewals that just sneak onto your credit card bill.
So, with all these issues, where does that leave us today? Well, as you can imagine, the entire security landscape has been forced to change, and change dramatically.
Today, the market looks completely different, and the biggest change is right here. More than half of all adults in the US now just rely on the built-in protection that comes with their computer, like Microsoft Defender. The third-party market, which used to be the only option, is now just a fraction of what it was. And that tells you something really important. The default built-in stuff has gotten good enough for most of us.
And behind the scenes, two other huge changes are happening. First, the technology itself is shifting. We're moving away from those old-school signature databases and towards next-gen solutions using AI and advanced behavioral analysis. Think of it like that profiler we talked about, but on steroids. And second, the industry is consolidating. Big names you've known for decades, Norton, Avast, AVG, Avira, well, they're now all owned by one single company, Gen Digital. All of which brings us right back to that central question. The tools are getting smarter, they're built right into our devices, but as the threats themselves evolve to be more about tricking us through phishing emails and social engineering, you have to wonder, maybe the most critical security update we need isn't software at all. Maybe it's our own awareness, our own skepticism. In this new era, who is really the first line of defense?